do some chores? Yeah. Did you sleep well?
Yeah.
Worth getting up?
Good morning, guys.
We are not in South Carolina. We're in North Carolina. Hercules.
Boots.
So we were at our friend's house, the Rhodes in North Carolina. I actually came up a day early yesterday, and Maya came up last night after stretching some fence. We decided yesterday morning that he would be able to get the most work done if I just removed our children from the situation.
And it was true.
And it was true. The kids and I went and explored Asheville last night. What a cool town. Very, very neat. We are wanting to go back at some point while we're here. They really want to go see the Biltmore because I talked to them about that. Hey, check out this little ditch squash going on here. That's funny. Volunteers. Oh, there's a tomato plant too. Anytime that you like grow food on a property for very long, you end up with abundant volunteers.
Well, that squash plant apparently, you know, squash bugs don't know where it's at, so maybe that's how we should grow it.
Well, they have squash in their garden. I don't know. Maybe the squash bugs aren't terrors here the way they are for me back in Arkansas. I'm hoping that maybe in South Carolina I'll be able to grow squash. Hey dude, what's up? Good morning. Good morning.
You what?
Whoa. Good morning. I'm finding volunteer plants everywhere. So I'll have people ask this occasionally. I'm not sure that this is a super common term outside of the United States. A volunteer plant is a plant that grows of its own accord. It's not planted by a gardener. And so it's like where seeds get discarded, let's say a fruit rots or something, you miss something, it falls, it gets split or damaged somehow, and you throw it in the compost and then things grow out of the compost. Or you feed it to the pigs and they obviously digest it, and so many seeds have this gel encasing over them that the whole point of that, like when you bite a tomato and it has that slime around it, a lot of melons or cucumbers, they'll have that gel around it. The whole point of that is nature's protection against the digestive tract of us, of mammals, of birds. And the idea is that that seed is not going to get broken down by stomach acid. It's still going to be a viable seed once it passes through. So on a farm where you have that cycle going, a lot of food, if you're gardening on a farm, a lot of stuff gets thrown in compost or to animals because then it's not waste. So if you have any excess, a lot of times you can feed it back to animals. Or if there's, you know, things like split fruits or things that would be ruined otherwise, it's not ruined when you can feed it to your animals and offset the feed bill. So if you have been growing things on a piece of property, even if you don't have animals involved, you're bound to have volunteers. Volunteers have been a massive cheerleader for me in my gardening journey. I've shared this a lot of times because they just prove to me that seeds want to grow. And my thought has always been, if my pigs can grow a garden with their poop, like surely I can grow a garden with like the best effort I have to offer. And walking around the Rhodes farm, I'm seeing volunteer plants everywhere because they've been growing food here for a while. We've got squash here. Here's a volunteer squash. There's a little fruit on that. We've got some melons. And then I was noticing over here. So these wood chips are not super broken down. So these plants, though they're volunteers, I know nobody cares, they're a little stunted. And that's gonna happen if you've got wood chips not super broken down. But look at this. Look at this little overachiever. The tiny little vine has that fruit on it. But they're all over the place. There's just plants everywhere. And I was noticing over here along this creek, here's a big old squash plant. That's got some fruit on it. Here's a nice big melon plant. So you can see they're thriving a little more here along the edge because this stuff is probably a little more broken down, a little more soil. This year in our Arkansas garden before we moved, I just let a lot of the volunteers grow because they really are such a great source of encouragement to me. And truly, volunteer plants are typically more resilient because if you think they're the seeds that survived through whatever, through composting, through digestion, if a fruit dropped and rotted, there might have been 100 seeds in it. If you get a few plants growing, they're the most resilient seeds. They're growing in place. They're adapted to the environment where they're growing, being from a parent plant that obviously grew there. And so volunteer plants usually grow more vigorously, and they are good if you can let them grow. Sometimes they're growing in a place you don't want them and you have to take them out, but to me it's just always like bonus. It's free food. If I get pumpkins out of my compost or little melons growing out in an old pig pen, I'm always like, thanks pigs. South Carolina has my heart. We spent the last week there. We got our animals in, we got them set up, we've been pulling fence, we've been doing all that stuff. It's just been a lot, getting a lot of things done, and we had to really just buckle down and get stuff done. The main reason we came up here was because it's 2 hours away, and Rebecca and Justin offered us to stay in their cabin, and we're currently in our camper with all 5 of our boys, and it's very, very hot, and we have learned this week in South Carolina when it's been 100 degrees every day that we really should have opted in on that second little AC unit on our camper because it's been sitting inside the camper by the afternoon about 90, 32 Celsius. Because of people coming in and out. And so we were really glad ahead of time. I mean, we planned this a couple months ago, and I'm really glad we did plan to come up here and stay for a couple days, because just having a full-size kitchen and having working air conditioning whenever it's this hot is nice. The other thing is, I learn so much by seeing other people's systems. And we're just doing chores out here this morning, and we were moving the chickshaw, and you know, we built our chickshaw off of Justin's plans, and we modified it a little bit, but it's a very similar structure, almost exactly the same, built off the same plans. And it's just interesting to see how differently people do things. And I talked about coming here and kind of learning some different things. I wanted to get a little bit more hands-on experience with a cow, because that's going to be the next acquisition for our farm. We want to get a dairy cow probably relatively soonish. We need to get a barn up first, but we have a lot of grass, and having a cow will put that to use and also save us some time, because otherwise we're just going to be mowing it. And coming and being hands-on with the animals that I want to get, it helps me a lot. Just having hands-on experience, I am a hands-on learner. And I came out here in February and stayed a long weekend, or January, I guess it was. I don't know, it was over the winter. And because I'm writing this first-time homesteader book. And so even now, I don't know that we'll have cows before that book is done. But I wanted to include cows, and I didn't have any. So I came out here to take photos and get some hands-on experience. And anytime that I get to go to someone's homestead that's doing either what we're doing or doing what we want to do, that is 100% classroom for me, no matter what. Now, I did watch the Rhodes on YouTube before I had a YouTube channel. And so that's cool in itself. I have people tell me when they come to my house, they're like, this is so wild, you know, I've watched you for a long time. And so I understand that feeling, but even beyond that, I mean, I am a sponge when I go to anybody's house who's doing the things that I either do or want to do, because there's always something to learn. And that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to go home and do everything exactly the same. It just challenges your thinking if you don't get into that stagnant place of, oh, I already know how to do that. I always want to be watching and saying, is there anything else I can learn here? Look at that baby. Say hi.
Hey, handsome.
We already made friends yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Maya just went with Justin up to the cows. I'll get a chance to do that at some point while we're here. We'll be here for a few days. But I just followed Rebecca down to her high tunnel because I had to come visit the tomatoes. Look at these. These look so good.
Yeah, so this is our first year. So we've grown in this plot before, but we've never
had the tunnel up.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so when we did the tunnel, we had to like flatten it.
Yeah.
And when that happened, we got a lot of fill dirt on top.
Yeah.
And all of our beautiful dirt is underneath it.
Oh, it's okay. These wood chips will build it. Wow, look at these. These are awesome.
Well, now I pruned them wrong. You know, I
Oh.
accidentally pruned off the
Did you take the top off?
stem off, yeah. Maybe I didn't. No, I didn't.
Well, you got a sucker going here, so you'll
Yeah,
still
yeah.
they'll still go. Oh, you got a little wormy.
Oh, do I have one? Should I pick it? It's not really.
Is that your first tomato from out of here?
No, I've had some little cherries.
Oh,
But that's my first San Mars.
San Marzano.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Marzano.
Got some breakfast while I pick green beans. This is filling my little garden loving soul because this week while I was at home, at our new home, I was sitting on the front steps. They're getting our house ready, and I was sitting on the front steps of our house, and I was just looking around, and Jeremiah came over and he sat down and he's like taking it all in, and he's like, what's wrong? It's been so long since I didn't have a garden. Like, I have had a garden of some sort for at least the last decade, you know, like I just don't even know how to wrap my head around it. I don't know how to not have a garden. So I literally, one of the first things I did upon getting here was like come down here to the garden and just touch some plants. It's making me so happy. We were picking dinner and Rebecca just told me these are Blue Lake pole beans, and she has the Blue Lake bush in her raised beds, but these are really nice.
Variety.
Yeah.
And they freeze really well too.
These freeze well.
Yeah, I don't can. I just don't like canned green beans, but
Yeah.
I like frozen green beans. So
Yeah.
I also tried not blanching one year.
Yeah.
I definitely preferred blanched. Blanched frozen.
Well, these are really good producers. I mean, this is only what, like an 8-foot row here, or 8-foot
it's pretty
section.
small. I mean, if we would have gotten our 50, we would have been able to. One year we did like 75 quarts
Wow.
in the freezer.
Wow.
That lasted us a year. I got to eat green beans once a week.
Yeah. Well, we will definitely have enough for dinner.
Oh yeah.
Move these
But they're my kids' favorites. Like green
Yeah.
beans are one of our favorite veggies.
They're one of my favorites too. Well, Maya's helping move the cows down to some new grass. What a good morning. I put my camera down and I didn't end up shooting any more footage, but I milked a cow, the whole thing all by myself, and I felt pretty legit. I'm definitely gonna have to get used to the size of cows. They're just such large animals and I am very intimidated by them. And when it comes to any animals, like if you're afraid of them, it's good to have a healthy fear of a large animal. It's good to have a healthy fear of like any animal that could actually do bodily damage to you. But you also need to be confident in how you manage yourself around them. I feel good about like shadowing. I'm gonna make sure that I'm out there when we're here every morning for chores, because getting that hands-on experience helps me build confidence. And we are planning on getting a cow soon, and I want to feel more comfortable around them. I've just only ever had goats, and obviously, my goats can push me around a little bit when it's all of them. Whenever I've got there are times that I have 1,000 pounds of goat around me, because the whole herd will kind of come up on me when I have food and stuff. And when several of them try to push in a gate, they can overpower me in a situation like that. But for the most part, if I have a goat on a milk stand, I can overpower that animal. I can move it, I can get it to go where I want to. And with cows, it really is down to having them trained right and knowing how to handle them, because you're not stronger than them. So that's something that I'm really hoping to pick up while we're here. So we just came back up to our cabin, and I cooked breakfast in the kitchen for these babies. Y'all eating some breakfast?
Yeah. Just finished my sausage.
You just finished your sausage? Is that some good breakfast? Some good eggs?
I just finished my sausage.
Good fresh eggs?
I don't want it tomato.
Yeah, I put salt on it. Hey Maya, will you come here? I want you to just pop in this video real quick. You can come right here. So, this tiny little seat.
Why do you have 95% of it?
So, how you feeling about?
Is this good for you right
It
now?
is. It's bad for you. It's gonna be brief. So, how are you feeling about our imminent foray into cow ownership after handling cows today? You've spent more time around cattle, I think, than I have.
And also horses, preparing.
Yeah, when we had our horses, Maya spent a lot more time handling them, and so he has a little more confidence with them than I do. I don't think you felt intimidated by them so much. Mm-hmm. Now Stud Muffin is a huge animal.
Yeah.
But you weren't even no big deal.
I mean, just be mindful that they can
kill you,
do damage.
See, I'm nervous. I did enjoy milking. It's a little harder than with goats.
Yeah. Are you gonna still try and milk by hand?
Yes, I like milking by hand. Okay. I love you. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us today. I'll have. Y'all are ready. Y'all are on it. All right, so we're gonna enjoy our trip here. We will be putting up some more videos while we're here. Y'all are being awkward. Then we're gonna go back to South Carolina.
Get that crazy look on your face.
Wipe it off. Then we're gonna go back to South Carolina. Our house will be ready to move in. Our pod should be arriving. And then I gotta go back to Arkansas and get my little bear dog and Con and the kitties. I miss Bear. I may have FaceTimed him.
Don't forget the bearded dragon.
And the bearded dragon, that's right. Yeah, I'm gonna call and talk to my dog on the phone. That's how much I miss him.
And you have to get,
The cats.
yeah.
Yep. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We bless you. Until next time.